Welcome. This is the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, and we are so glad that you've made it to a calmer corner of your day. Here, we focus on real solutions, practical help, and the kind of encouragement we could all use a little more of. So let's get to it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new year 2026. I bet you didn't know that January is National Bath Safety Month. So this month on our daily podcast, we will be talking about some of the things that you can do to help make your bath time, your bathroom, and everything that you have to do in there safer so that you can stay more independent for much longer, safer, and stay out of the hospital and rehab and everything else. So let's start with something clear and honest today. If there's one place in the home that deserves more attention in the new year, it is the bathroom. Now, it may look harmless and it may seem to be working for you, but it's actually one of the most dangerous rooms in the house for older adults. The next, I think, is kitchen, but the bathroom is definitely the one where many older adults tend to either fear of. There's so many things that could happen in there. So we're going to talk about why bath safety should be right at the top of your New Year priority list. All right. After all my years as an OT, I can tell you that this is something that really matters. I've worked with many patients who came to me in rehab or in the hospital because they injured themselves somehow, some way in a bathroom. And the worst were the ones that weren't ever able to go back home again. So I want to help you to prevent that. All right. So I was working once with a gentleman years ago. He was in his 80s. He had fallen in the bathroom twice. Now, twice in 1 month. Both times he told me, I didn't think I'd go down that fast. Yeah, well, that's how gravity works, I think. And that's the thing about bathrooms. Everything happens quick. That's where I got the phrase, it only takes a second. It literally only takes a second for something to happen. There's no warning. Oftentimes, there's no time to grab anything, if you have anything to grab. The floors are usually hard. The corners of the countertops are usually, sharp. There's slippery surfaces all over the place. So he looked at me one day and he said, I wish I'd fixed that before the fall. And I was thinking, yeah, that's what I told you last time. But he didn't do it. So I'm here to help you prevent that. I don't want you to be sitting in a rehab talking to your therapist about these same kind of issues. So here's the thing. Most bathroom injuries are truly preventable. We don't just talk about bathroom safety, usually until something bad happens, but let's talk about it now before something happens. So I want you to think about bath safety as a form of self-care. I mean, you take vitamins, that's self-care. You wear non-slip slippers, hopefully, that's self-care. You maybe order an Uber if you have to drive at night, that's self-care. So I want you to think of what you can do in your bathroom as self-care. I want you to stay independent longer. I want to reduce the stress for yourself and your family as you grow older. And I want you to stay confident in your daily routine. And you can do that. You can do that with some planning. But if you're a caregiver listening to this podcast, I want you to hear this part too. Bath safety isn't just about preventing falls. It's about giving and keeping your dignity while you're in the bathroom. Comfort and ease. Hardly anybody wants another person to bathe them, to shower them, to toilet them. Everybody wants to do that themselves. So why don't you keep on doing that and do what you need to do in order to keep on doing that? So to give caregivers a peace of mind so that you're not constantly bracing for the next emergency, the next phone call that, your mom or dad fell. Want you to talk to your parents or elderly loved ones about what needs to be done to make the bathroom safer. Use an occupational therapist or an aging in place specialist. You can find them at aginginplacedirectory.com, but use their expertise to help you identify what areas of the bathroom may need some work. It doesn't mean you need a full renovation necessarily. It could just mean a few simple changes. So let's talk about some of the risks that are often found in bathrooms, because once you understand what's happening in that space, it's easier to make the changes that can actually help. So the biggest danger, of course, is usually slipping. Water on smooth surfaces becomes a fall risk in just a few seconds. Then when you've got transfers in and out of the tub or shower, that's another slippery issue, not only inside the tub or inside the shower, but outside of it. Turning around in tight spaces. If you live in an older home and you have a very small bathroom, it can be difficult to turn around. Maybe you don't have the right things to hold on to. Maybe the things that you are holding on to are slippery. Those kinds of things can make it difficult, especially if you're using a walker or a cane. That only adds to decrease the amount of space that you have to turn around and to do things in. Low lighting, that is a very, very important issue. Most older bathrooms have very little lighting, and as you grow older, you need more and more light in your area. But it's so subtle, you often don't notice it until you get adequate lighting in there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. Loose rugs. I can't tell you how many times I have treated patients because of loose rugs or old rugs. They'll trip over them or the rug will slip. All kinds of issues with rugs. Now, I understand you need rugs in the bathroom, of course, but you want to make them non-slip. You want to make them as low pile as possible and as absorbent as possible. And high thresholds. Threshold to get into the shower stall, threshold to even get into the bathroom. I have a story to tell you that you may have heard from other podcasts. My mom-in-law was in her late 90s. She got up in the middle of the night to get to use the bathroom. She didn't feel safe, so she got into her wheelchair, wheeled herself to the bathroom, which wasn't very far at all, but then she couldn't get the wheelchair over the threshold into the bathroom. And she called me crying. I had to get her neighbor to come over to help push the wheelchair into the bathroom. She was so embarrassed, and I don't blame her. But if there hadn't been a threshold there, if it was flat, she would have been able to do everything she needed to do independently and safely. Those little things can really add up. They really do. Okay, so let me tell you this straight from years and years of experience. Even strong, steady, older adults can struggle in the bathroom when they're tired, or they're stiff, or they've injured their back, or their knee gives out, or their arthritis is flaring up. I mean, I know that I struggle. I have back and shoulder issues from lifting seniors for so many years. And there are mornings that I struggle in the bathroom. So it could be early morning. It could be late night bathroom trips. Those aches and pains and stiffness and arthritis conditions can make everything even riskier. So when I say bath safety should be a priority this year, I really mean it. I mean it from a place of love and practicality and a place of I've been there and I don't want to see you get into that predicament. Now, let's talk about what makes the biggest impact. And don't worry, none of this necessarily requires a major remodel. Of course, it depends on your bathroom, but that's why it's so important to have an aging in place specialist or an occupational therapist to come in and give you an assessment. So talk to your doctor about getting that assessment, getting a prescription for that, or, I don't actually know how doctors order that anyway. Okay. So grab bars are at the top of the list, obviously, and I recommend grab bars that have some texture on them because it makes it easier to grasp and not so slippery, especially when your hands are wet, which can happen often in a bathroom. So grab bars have been amazing. I have seen the installation of them really help to prevent so many older adults to fall again and again. Unfortunately, most of the time, at least in my experience, grab bars are added after they've been falling for a while. So the idea of these grab bars is to help prevent it in the first place. Now, it used to be that grab bars looked very, I don't know what the word is, but it made the bathroom look like a hospital. But nowadays, they have some beautifully designed grab bars that you can get. So take a look, go online and look for some of the beautiful designs that they have to make bathrooms not look so, like a hospital. Still can't think of the word. So you want grab bars by the toilet if you need them. You definitely want them in the bathtub, in the shower stall. And, my mom had a long hallway into her bathroom. So we installed grab bars in that long hallway. It made it easier for her to walk down. I forget how many steps it was, but it was fairly long. So it just made it easier for her to hold on to something before she could get to the sink and the toilet and the shower and all of that. The next is non-slip mats, non-slip rugs. Not talking about loose ones. I'm talking about real non-slip surfaces that grip the floor. And like I said, if they can be low pile and absorbent, that's even better. Because if they're absorbent, then next time you step on them, they won't feel so wet. You won't get that mushy feeling at the bottom of your foot, which can be uncomfortable. So look for low pile, absorbent, non-slip mats. And if needed, I do recommend it, some kind of a mat or those sticky decals inside your bathtub and your shower to make it easier in there. And if you do have balance issues, or if you feel that you may have balance issues, or if you have, issues where you get low blood pressure, you feel faint, your knee can give out because of whatever, issue you may have, then I strongly recommend some kind of a bench or a chair inside where you take a shower or a bathtub. Lighting, as I said before, lighting is so important. A bathroom should never be dim. Soft lighting is fine for comfort, but the floors and edges must be visible. That's why oftentimes therapists, occupational therapists, and aging in place specialists will recommend a different color wall from the floor, or a different color floor from the wall, whatever, just so that you can identify, or as your eyes get older, it's much more difficult to sometimes identify that blend. So you want to make the two colors different. And you want to have lighting where it's needed. If you need to put lighting over the showers or the bathtub, then that's where it should be needed, as long as it doesn't create a glare. Can also be very dangerous if you have enough lighting, but too much glare, it can be difficult to find things on the sink, which then you can knock things off. You bend down, try to pick them up, and then you end up falling. All right, so seating. A shower chair or a tub bench can truly make showering and bathing much more independent for so many people. I myself have a bench inside my shower, and there are times that I'm just so tired. It does feel nice, I have to say, a bit of a spa feeling to be able to sit and bathe myself. It is nice. So you don't have to necessarily stand the entire time that you're washing. You don't have to balance on a slippery surface, and you can sit, rest, and feel safe the entire time. I've gotten many emails from people who tell me that it takes a lot of energy for them to shower, and I can agree with that, absolutely. So that is why a bench, a chair can really help you to conserve your energy while you're doing that. I've watched seniors in my practice as an OT go from terrified of bathing to confident again just by adding a sturdy seat and a grab bar and a handheld, shower head in the shower with them. I mean, they were so happy not to have someone there to do things for them. Things were laid out, organized so that it's easy for them to reach. Soap dispenser on the wall versus a bar of soap, available washcloths, anything that made it easier for them to get to, and safer, for them to get to these things in order that they can take care of themselves. Now, caregivers. Bath time, shower time is also important for you to be safe. If helping someone bathe has become stressful for you, then these changes help you too. They can hold on to a grab bar while you dry them or wash them. Safer bathrooms mean fewer close calls, fewer moments where you're trying to hold someone upright, or situations where you're straining your own back and eventually straining your nerves. So a safer bathroom supports not only them, but you as well. So think about all of these things. This new year is a fresh chance to make small choices that protect your independence and your comfort, your dignity and your peace of mind, not only for older adults, but for caregivers as well. Bath safety isn't about fear or of making changes and growing older. It's about empowering yourself as you grow older. None of us are going to get younger. We're all getting older. So it's about aging in place with confidence, reducing the risk of the number one place where seniors fall, which is the bathroom. And honestly, it's about taking control before something happens instead of reacting after something happens. So as we all step, and as you step into 2026, think about this room in your home in a brand new way. Look at it with kinder eyes. Look at it with educated eyes from an OT or aging in place specialist. Look for one thing that you can fix and improve, and then build on there. It doesn't have to be, as I said, a whole renovation. Just one thing. Could be a non-slip mat. It could be brighter lighting. It could be adding a chair or bench or whatever in the bath. It could be grab bars. I know grab bars take a little more construction than most, but it's important to have. It really is. When I just redid my bathroom, I had grab bars added throughout. Okay, these small things all add up to safety. They can be priceless in the end. All right, my friend, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I want to thank you so much again for being here with me. If this episode brought a little calm to your day, then please share it with someone you care about. Share it with others. Maybe someone who could use a reminder to pause and reflect and do what is needed so that they can grow older, safer, and more confidently. You'll find more gentle reflections and resources for seniors and caregivers at seniorsafetyadvice.com. And again, look at Aging in Place directory to find the specialists that can help you do any of these things. And come back tomorrow for another daily moment of calm, guidance, and encouragement right here on the Senior Safety Advice podcast. And hey, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel or the podcast yet, go ahead and do that right now. The more subscribers we can get really help us to reach more people who could use this kind of support and information. So until next time, take care of yourself and the ones that you love.
This podcast is part of our mission to help older adults live safely and independently. If you'd like to take the next step, visit aginginplacedirectory.com, where you'll find specialists, helpful resources, and inspiration to make every home your place to thrive.